I'm Dr. Bradley Alicea. I'm with the Open Room Foundation and the Orthogonal Research and Education Lab. Today I'm going to talk about how Google Summer of Code has helped us with our educational, open advocacy, and community building initiatives. So I started with the DevoWorm group, which is part of the Open Room Foundation, in 2017 as a Google Summer of Code mentor. And I've worked it every year up to this year where we've applied for 2 projects. Well, our goal in doing things like this is to create a pipeline for multiple years. We like to create research software that then we complete for 1 year, and then we look to what that software does to guide us to the next year. So you can see that we've developed machine learning tools for microscopy analysis and other types of analysis, and that this is built on top of one another over the years. And we've kind of culminated in this platform called DevoLearn, which is a combination of different models in a single package. And so we work often at the intersection of computational developmental biology and simulation, and this helps us achieve some of our goals. Another group I work with is the Orthogonal Research and Education Lab. We worked in 2018 and 2019 on 2 different projects, and this is more of a group effort in this lab because we invite students who haven't been selected for Google Summer of Code to join our group and to do things with us. So it's more of a study group. And in the 2019 project, we started working on these developmental Bratenberg vehicles. I had a number of applicants, and they all worked on prototypes, and then I invited 4 of them. One of them were selected for Google Summer of Code, Stefan Dvoretsky, and the other 3 were selected from the best applicants. And together we worked on these platforms. We worked on different platforms. Each person had a different perspective, and we worked and studied all summer. And then we ended up writing a paper, which is going to be published in Artificial Life soon. We've also presented at conferences, and our sponsor organization, INCF, we've been involved with their effort to promote this software and this research initiative. Another thing we've done to sort of facilitate our Google Summer of Code coding period and the community period as well is to use a number of different tools. So we've used weekly group meetings, like with the Saturday Morning NeuroSim, which is now a full-fledged meeting on its own. We've used, we try to interact with students on a weekly basis. We bring them into a weekly meeting where we have people who are both in the project and then a larger group of people who have domain expertise. We use newsletters to sort of facilitate constant communication. And we use Slack. So we use Slack a lot to communicate with people, especially when they're in different time zones. I have a lot of students from India, and there's a 12-hour time difference between myself and them. So this is helpful with respect to constant communication. I've also developed some resources on professional development and other types of readings in open source, open science, and community building. And so I usually present these to people during the community period to give them a good basis for open source, open science, and professional development. We operate from a mentorship model, which is sort of this fractional scholarship model. So we have people join the group. They can define their way and make an early contribution during the application period. They learn what works and what doesn't work. They get feedback from the mentor, and then they produce a redefined contribution. Now, it may be selected for GSoC or not, but if they're invited to work on it. They're invited to work it out into artifacts such as papers or code or media or documentation, and then they can release it into the world as a finished product. And so we have this iterative design process, and I have a preprint on this, something I've worked on in the Orthogonal Lab, and it works well to engage students to drive forward education. And it all starts with the Google Summer of Code application period. I have some readings for advice for future participants on the Synthetic Daisies blog. I also have advice to students, 3 pieces of advice that people might apply to the program. Do your research on the thing you're going to be applying to. Reach outside your comfort zone in sort of solving the problem or presenting a solution, and keep in communication with your mentor. So I often have people solve a specific problem, and they actually are very creative at solving it. And then in my advice to mentors are hold weekly schedules, weekly scheduled meetings, keep to a weekly schedule, manage your content, manage your your other things that are going on in the group at the same time as your students are engaging, and be flexible with your students. Allow them to reach out at different times in the Slack, or meet at different times during the week, and don't try to force things that won't happen. You have to have flexibility in your schedule as well. So I thank you for your attention.